Fall's here, which means it's time for me to count down the top 14 YA books that I am most excited to read this fall. So pull up that Goodreads or grab a pen and paper and get ready to write down all of these books, because hopefully after watching this video, you will have more books on your TBR pile. First 3 books, I'm just gonna like get these ones out of the way, because honestly these 3, they just really don't need any introductions because you probably already know everything about them. So the first book on my list is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. It's John Green, what can I say? I mean, it's John Green. We're all gonna read his book, aren't we? I mean, we're all nerd fighters. We all watch his videos. We all read his books. So we're definitely gonna read his new one, Turtles All the Way Down. It's been like, what, 5 years since his last book? We've been all patiently waiting to see what he was gonna come up with next. And now, soon, it will be here. The second book on my list is Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo, a little Wonder Woman action. I don't really need to explain to you why I love Wonder Woman and why I love Leigh Bardugo, so let's just move on to the next one. The third book that definitely doesn't need an introduction is Warcross by Marie Lu. I actually just picked up this copy yesterday. Look at how beautiful this cover is. I got a signed copy. Let's actually take a look at her signature. Here it is. That's Marie Lu's signature. I cannot wait to read this. Oh my god, I'm so excited. So this one is like super techy, and it takes place in like futuristic Japan, and it's all about like virtual gaming, and it's action-packed because it's Marie Lu and she literally can't write anything that's not action-packed. And I've been a Marie Lu fan ever since Legend, and once I sat next to her at a dinner and I was trying so hard not to fangirl. I hope she remembers me. Anyway, super pumped to read this one. I hope you guys are too. It's out now. The next 4 books that I have on my list are all fantasy. So I've got One Dark Throne by Kendare Blake. This is the sequel to 3 Dark Crowns, which, if you don't know anything about this, just watch my 2 previous book hauls and you will find out all you need to know about this series. But if you haven't read it yet, read it now. And it's here, it's on sale, no more waiting, it's available, yay! The next one is The Glass Spare by Lauren DeStefano, and this one is the first in a brand new fantasy duology about a girl who discovers that her touch turns people into gemstone. Think of how much money she could be making off that. I want that ability. The next book on my fantasy list, nope, try that one more time. The next book on my fall most anticipated list in my fantasy section is The Last Namsara. Look at that cover. It's super shiny, so I have to hold it away so you guys can actually see it. Here's what the title treatment looks like, and here's the back. So this one I'm super pumped for because it's fantasy. And it's about dragons, and I love dragons. I love dragon fantasy books so much. Oh my god. And it just makes me really want to go into a deep discussion about Game of Thrones right now and what happened at the end of the season, but that is not this video. Dragons, YA, fantasy, brand new, debut author. Super pumped to read this. I can't wait to read it and tell you guys more about it. Okay, so the next fantasy book that I'm so excited to read, I feel like I've been waiting for this one for like years. It's The Book of Dust by Philip Pullman, and this one is the first in a prequel trilogy to his Dark Materials series, but it's set 10 years before the events in his Dark Materials series. So if you guys have not read The Golden Compass and those books, you have to do it. They are like classic YA fantasy. If you love Garth Nix or Tamara Pierce, like that, like they came out in the 90s and they were just like, when I think of like old school YA fantasy, I think of Philip Pullman. Everybody thinks of Philip Pullman. His books are classic. They're so good. So I'm super pumped to read this new prequel trilogy to his older trilogy. It's set 10 years before. Super pumped to read it. What book am I? What number am I on? I don't know. Honestly, when I'm making this video and I was trying to narrow down the list for which books I should include in this video, I was like having such a hard time. I was like, oh, but I have to include that one. Oh, but I have to include that one. I'm like, no, I have to include that one. Literally, if I could, I would just make this video about all of the YA books that are coming out because they're all on my most anticipated list. But such is the life of a book nerd, trying to figure out which ones of the ones you want to read you're actually going to find the time to read. Okay, now back to number 8 or 7. I don't know. So I talked about this next one in my last book haul, and that is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Ta-da! Love this book. But there was one thing I forgot to mention in my last book haul that I want to mention now, and that is Adam actually based one of his characters. It's a very minor, very side minor character, but he based one of his characters off me. So you have to read the book and see if you can figure out which character it is. Good luck doing so. Read it very carefully because I make a very, very brief appearance in it. But anyway, you guys have to read this book. It's so good. It debuted at number 5 on the New York Times bestseller list. I just have all of the love for my friend Adam. Oh, so excited. You guys have to read this. It's out now. Oh my god, go read it. The next book that I'm so pumped to read this fall is Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. Check out that cover. So this one is not the typical kind of book that I normally read in the sense that it's like a familial, it's like family drama, sort of like if you like the show This Is Us, coming of age, serious story. But it is Robin Benway, and she's this beautiful writer, and it just got shortlisted or longlisted. It got on the list as a potential book to win the National Book Award, which is a big freaking deal in the book award circuit. No, in the world. It's just a huge deal. So obviously I want to read it because Robin Benway is an amazing writer, but now I definitely have to read it because it might win the National Book Award. So the next 2 books on my most anticipated list are from authors that are on my authors I will always read no matter what they publish list. And the first one is Patrick Ness with his brand new book. It's out this fall, Release. Ta-da! I know it's kind of a confusing cover because it like looks like it's supposed to be this way, but it's actually this way. So Patrick Ness is just like a very amazing writer. If you haven't read Chaos Walking or like literally anything that he's ever written, like just stop and go read his stuff. I read everything that he's ever written and I'm super pumped to read Release. And mostly because I am totally, fall for some reason, I'm always in the mood for like some magical realism, some like contemporary, coming of age, magical realism. I don't know why. It's just maybe because it reminds me of going back to school. Maybe. But that's where this book comes in because it's like it's about relationships and memories and there's a ghost. I'll have to read it and find out. But if you guys have read it and you liked it, tell me in the comments below. Tell me what you thought. I want to hear all the details. I just had to break things up with a little. Okay, the next book is from my other author on this list who is a I will always read everything that you ever write list, and that is Mindy McGinnis with her brand new book, This Darkness Mine. Ta-da! Look, you can see like there's an eye in there. Ugh, creepy. So if you've ever read any of Mindy McGinnis's books, they have a common theme. They are dark. They are brutal. They are raw. They will usually make you go like this at some point in the book. Duh. I don't even know if that was the right face. It's more of like, no. It's more like, my face isn't cooperating with me today. Anyway, there's always going to be a moment in Mindy's books where like your jaw is just gonna be like on the floor. She is a dark and twisty writer. Her books are always very like, whether they're historical or dystopian or contemporary, they're just like, man, there's always like that. Her style, she's got style, that Mindy McGinnis, and this one I'm hoping is gonna be no exception. I'm expecting that it's gonna be no exception because it's about a girl who eats her twin in the womb. That's like the premise, where she's like, you know, when they were like not born babies and she ate her twin in the womb, and now she's like, you know, a teenager having to like come to terms with that. I don't know where it's gonna go, but if it's Mindy McGinnis, I'm along for the ride. Speaking of creepy horror, I really don't like horror novels. I like thrillers, I like psychological thrillers, I like creepy things, but horror, I'm just sort of like, I'm cool. Like, I don't really need to be scared, it's fine. But I will make one exception, and that exception is for Stephanie Perkins and her new book, There's Someone Inside Your House. Stephanie Perkins, she's known for, if you guys aren't familiar with her, she's known for super sweet, cute contemporary romances. like super, super sweet contemporary romances. So all of a sudden now that she's doing like straight up horror, I'm like, well, okay, that was a bit of a left turn, but all right, I will see where this goes. So even though I'm not a horror fan, I will persevere and try to get through this book without being too scared. Let's see how I do. Oh my god, it gets so hot when you film these things. My glasses just start fogging up and sweating. Ugh. Okay, the next book that I'm super excited to read this fall is Here We Are Now by Jasmine Warga. Technically this book comes out on November 7th, so I don't know what your definition of fall is, if that like is November or if fall goes all the way through December or if fall is just like August, September, whatever. I consider it fall because I'm super, super excited to read this one. Jasmine wrote My Heart and Other Black Holes, which was one of my favorite, most like, whew, that one, like, I was going through some stuff when I read that book and I was like, way to pour salt right on that wound and just get to the heart of my soul. Sure, that's a phrase now. So I pretty much will be like, I will read anything Jasmine writes because she ripped my heart out with the last one, so I'm just like, do it again, rip my heart out, make me feel things. I don't know why I want to like have my heart ripped out, but I do because that's what book nerds want. We just want our hearts ripped out sometimes. And this one is about a girl who doesn't know who her father is, and her mother is very like, her mom won't talk about it, and one day she finds these letters, this box of letters in her mom's closet from this like famous rocker. Turns out he's her dad, and she writes him a letter and she doesn't hear anything, and then 3 years go by and he shows up on her door. And so now she's sort of getting to know him, getting to know herself, getting to know a little bit more about her mom and just relationships like that. And I will pretty much always read anything that is about a teenage girl and her father. So I am very, very excited to read this one. Super pumped to have my guts just like ripped from my body and smushed and weep and cry and feel things. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to with this book. Like I said earlier, it is so hard. It is like literally the hardest thing ever as a book nerd to just like narrow down all of the books that you want to put onto a list, because you're just like, please, like, let me just put all of them, okay? But yeah, so for my last book on my most anticipated list, here's a bunch of the other ones that I'm super excited about, but if I talked about them, this video would be like 45 minutes long. So I'm just gonna pop up their covers right here and pull up your Goodreads, add them to your Goodreads, pause the video right after my face, just get ready to pause it, and then write all these titles down. So here we go. Here are all the other books that I'm super pumped to read this fall. Did you get it? Did you get them all? Did you write them all down? Okay, cool. Now is the time when I involve you guys in the video, which is head down to the comments below and tell me which books you guys are most excited to read this fall. So from like beginning of September through the first week in November. Sure, let's say they have to come out between September and November. And another challenge for you is you have to narrow it down to just 5. Five most anticipated books you guys have either read already this fall or they're coming out soon and you're super excited to read them. Either way, your 5 most, that's 10, your 5 most anticipated books this fall. Hit me up in the comments, tell me what's up. Can't wait to book shimmy with y'all. And don't forget to subscribe if you are a new viewer. Hit that subscribe button and follow Epic Reads and genuinely just be an awesome person. But you're already doing that because you're watching this video. And you're already doing that even if you don't watch this video, because you're a book person and you're awesome. And I don't know how to end this video. So I'll just do that. Okay. All right. Book shimmy. Happy fall reading, y'all.